Hey everyone, Magic Sword here with another tier list, second one on the channel. Figured the first one did pretty well. We've seen everything this expansion has to offer. We're even seeing a little bit of pre-release, actual use of these cards. If you've been paying attention to that whole scene there with everyone's favorite content creators getting into that. So let's go ahead and rate these in the usual manner from S to D, as is the normal grading scale for every school I've ever been in. With the special note that this is talking about meta impact more than it is anything else. It's not like rating the art or how cool the effect is or anything like that. So you can bet that if something creates an archetype, it's probably higher up on the list. Even if that archetype isn't strictly amazing, the meta impact of the possibility of that archetype is still something to consider. So, without further ado, let's start with Ace Hunter Kreen. These are in alphabetical order, not sorted by class or anything. So, starting with the Demon Hunter Legendary. This is just a super powerful card. Everyone, and I'll read the effects. So, this is basically while your other characters are attacking, they're immune. 3 mana, 2/4. Very powerful effect. Hunter and Demon Hunter both love and can take great advantage of this, especially with the new weapon, the Crescent Bow or whatever, the True Aim Crescent. It allows you to force your guys to attack a single target. And if they are immune when they're doing that, you are super value trading, right? So this is easy A tier. S is pretty strictly reserved for anything that would otherwise just be A, but also it creates a deck archetype, right? Archwitch Willow. So this is somebody 9 mana 7/7. Somebody random demon from your hand and your deck. So this supports big demon warlock. If this were a Demon Hunter card, maybe it would be really good. As it stands, warlock doesn't really have that many big demons. That said, it has potential to create an archetype, so I'm putting it in B tier. Disciplinarian Gandling. I think I've talked extensively about my feelings towards Tempo Priest, and we know this sort of thing will work in Warlock, so it's going to be S tier. I mean, it is so powerful. 4 mana 3/6. After you play a minion, kill it and summon a 4/4. So it has big Death Rattle synergy. It just creates a bunch of big guys, or mid-sized guys, I suppose, but for potentially like 1 or 2 mana, right? Just overall very powerful effect, and I think that this is going to be spearheading that priest archetype, right? So have to nestle that safely within the S tier. I will also be organizing them within the tiers, right? So if I think something is low B or high B, they'll be sort of placed relative to each other. Dr. Krastinov, 5 mana, 4/4, rogue, warrior, legendary, rush. Whenever this attacks, give a weapon +1/+1. So, instant. So compare this to Greenskin, right? It has rush. That more than makes up for the fact that it's not a battle cry, and it's functionally a battle cry as long as your opponent has something to attack, which almost always they will. So just for the sake of saying this is a strong warrior card, I'm going to put it in A. And it's also a strong rogue card, slightly less so. They did gain a little bit of weapon synergy, which I was kind of anticipating based on this, but I'd say this is overall weaker than Kreen, though, less meta impact there. But this will see play in basically every warrior deck, and probably a lot of rogue decks as well. All right, Professor Omu, something Omu. All right, this is 6 mana 5/4, Spellburst, refresh your mana crystals. Yeah, probably useful in combo. I think combo is going to be pretty weak, because this is the expansion when they introduced a bunch of combo. Like, combo has been out of standard for a long time, right? But they introduced a bunch of combo pieces. They also introduced a bunch of disruption, and that disruption can easily be run without really too much build around, whereas combo is its own deck, right? So I think even so, this card can be played in just a regular druid deck, like you proc the spell burst, and then you have a bunch of mana to play around with for a Kel'Thuzad turn or something, right? So I'm going to say this is high B tier. Maybe even low A. That's up in the air. I feel free to fight me on that. Now we have, it's Forest Warden Omu, I just remembered. Okay, sorry. 5 mana, 4/6, Headmaster Kel'Thuzad. This is one of the first legendaries revealed. Spell burst. If the spell kills anything, then it resurrects them for you, right? This is incredibly powerful. It's pretty much not super reliant on anything you're necessarily going to be doing. I'd say this is probably even ahead of Kreen, just because it's neutral, right? Oh, can we make it ahead of Kreen? We can lower Kreen. That's better. I mean, look, everyone runs board clears. Everyone runs hard removal. This can be like an 8 mana kill a guy and get something back, right? Get a huge guy back if you have Deadly Shot, right? Just as an example. It fits in basically anything that can kill big targets with a single spell, or many targets with a single spell. It's just overall strong. And you know where I'm putting high Abbess already. Probably even higher than Gandling, because I think what this does for Paladin, these are about the same in Priest in my mind, but what this does for Paladin versus what this does for Warlock is much better. So 4 mana, 3/6, spell burst, cast a spell, and then when it casts a spell from your deck, right? So you buff this, and then you can buff it again, right? Because it prefers to target this. And a lot of Paladin's spells that are like offensive are designed to just target the enemy anyway, like Consecration. That might be the only one, actually, but that's basically all you'll need, right? So you can even hit a Consecration off of that, and most of the time it'll still be good. But this highly encourages buff Paladin. All right. Next we have Infiltrator Lilian. Yeah, this is definitely one of the weaker ones. Probably our first C tier here. And, you know, it's not to say that she's bad. It's just that everything else is so good. You know, 4 mana, 4/2 stealth. Summon a 4/2 that attacks immediately when it dies. Yeah, I mean, that's cool and all, but, like, so, you know, it sort of fits the ghost theme that we've been seeing around here. But I don't know. I just don't think it's up to snuff. And it doesn't invent an archetype, you know. So, yeah. Nestled pretty safely in C tier. Probably even like a middle C, honestly. So, now we have Instructor Fire something. I forget her name. Alright. So, she is B tier, probably ahead of Willow, honestly, because I just have little faith in that archetype. She is 3 mana, 3/3. Discover a spell, and then basically every time you discover a spell that costs 1 or more, that's critical, right? And then every time you cast a spell, you get to refresh that battle cry. So you get to continually get like 1 mana spells potentially, or maybe you just generate 1 big spell. You know, no matter what, you're getting, it's battle cry, discover a spell at base, which is already good. But the fact that it's that repeatable effect makes it legendary, right? And I think Shaman in particular greatly benefits from that, and especially Quest Shaman. You know, let's even. Well, no. We'll keep it below Omu. Okay. Yeah. Jandice Barov, 5 mana, 2/1. Battlecry, summon 2 5 costs and secretly choose one of them to basically be an illusion. It has 1 health, right? Jandice is like low B tier. I didn't quite want to put her in C. I really don't love this card because random 5 drops are generally not that good. 5 has a lot of variance on it. I wouldn't trust this card to give me good stuff. The choose secretly is really cool, which is the only thing keeping it out of C tier. Not just cool, but potentially valuable. But yeah, I don't trust this card to give you real value, honestly. All right, that takes us to Keymaster Alabaster. I think this is pretty bad as far as legendaries are concerned, but it does invent an archetype, so it stays out of D tier. 7 mana, 6/8. Whenever your opponent draws a card, add a 1 mana copy of it to your hand. That's cool. I don't know that's what you need on turn 7. And it's kind of hard to force your opponent to draw nowadays. Maybe this sees playing wild with a mill deck, but getting those 1 mana clones. I mean, and they are full bodies. They're not 1 mana 1/1s. They're just 1 mana copies, right? So that's nice, but I don't know. At the worst case scenario, your opponent draws a card on their next turn, right? So you get at least 1 card from their deck that is now mana discounted down to 1, which is good, but I think the worst case scenario is also the most common scenario, right? You're just required to play around it. And I think a lot of the time, maybe more than most people are expecting, you will just get a card that is specific to their deck or their class. You'll get like a Demon Hunter card that's based on attacking, or a Rogue or Warrior card that's based on attacking, and you just can't attack, right? Because you're a mage. Oh, anyway, maybe I'm being pessimistic about that. It could definitely, this is one of the cards that I'm not certain about, but I think it's just not that good. So, 3 mana 3/2 Lord Barov. This is the Warrior Paladin legendary. Battlecry, set the health of all guys to 1. Death Rattle, deal 1 damage to all enemies. A tier. Not, it's just really strong. Doesn't define an archetype or anything, but I think most paladins and most warriors want to see this. If not for the fact that, I mean, it's an equality effect. Warrior does not have access to that normally. This and Risky Skipper is absolutely nutty. Like, I fear this. Risky Skipper needs to be nerfed to 2 mana for this to be in the game, right? Like, I've been clamoring for a Risky Skipper nerf for a while, but this really makes me want that. I can't deal with that. I will quit the game. All right. Lorekeeper Polekelt. This is for another one of those weird combo cards that reorders your deck, right? Battlecry, reorder your deck from highest to lowest cost. B tier. We'll put it below. Yeah, we'll put it here, actually. Again, I don't have so much faith in combo. Also, I don't see this working out incredibly well. I think where a lot of people are saying it will shine is if you're playing a tempo deck and it's turn 4 and you're like, I need to curve into my 5 and into my 5s, right? If your curve ends at 5 and you play this on curve, this is great. Otherwise, and similarly, if you're otherwise in the late game as a tempo deck and you're like, I need my big stuff now, that's nice. But also tempo decks kind of survive on using all their mana, right? So on turn 10, you want to play like a 6 and a 4, or a 6 and 2 2s. But if you're only drawing 6s and 5s, you can literally only play one card unless you already had a stockpile, which in a tempo deck, by that point in the game, you probably don't. What's nice is that for Demon Hunter, for example, your 6-drop is your reload. So there's that, and then you'd be discounting them because it would be the top card, and it would be Outcast, and then you would discard like 6 and 5 drops, right? Oh, who did I move? Oh, okay. We're good. Yeah, so maybe I'm underestimating this one as well, but I don't think it's going to be incredible. All right. This is the card that people were losing their minds over. This is the big one. Mindrender Illucia. Battlecry. Swap hands with your opponent. Swap hands and decks with your opponent, and then swap back the next turn. This, I initially said people were overreacting to. I think it's probably highest A tier, because it doesn't define an archetype. It fits in pretty much in like Control Priest perfectly, and definitely not Tempo Priest. So, it doesn't define an archetype, but oopsie, it's an incredibly useful tool for that archetype. So it will definitely see play in basically every Control Priest. If Control Priest is good, this is good, and I think Control Priest will be definitely viable, but maybe not. I don't know. I just want Tempo Priest to work. I'm going to say Control Priest it won't, but they still have all those tools, so we'll see. Mazaki, Master Duelist, 5 mana, 3/8. Spell damage every time you cast a spell. 5 mana is just too much for this effect. It's got a big health stat line, so that's nice, but I don't think it's nice enough. I think it's just, and since Mage is really emphatically about, like, not getting free stuff anymore, I feel like they're trying to move away from that. Yeah, I don't know. It could work with the studies. That's the only thing that I'm a little nervous about putting it in D, right? But studies, I don't know if you should rely on that for discounting this one spell damage minion. Actually, no, I'm sorry, it wouldn't get discounted because it doesn't have spell damage at base. Yeah, unless it counts anything with that keyword, in which case, but I don't think that's how it'll work. That seems like not how Blizzard does these cards. So, I think this is pretty safely D tier. Just way too slow. So Professor Slate, the Hunter legendary, 5 mana 3/4. Your spells are poisonous. What? What do you mean my spells are poisonous? This is good. The only issue is you do have to run those smaller spells, which Face Hunter ran, and it's nice that you if Face Hunter's a thing, this will definitely be a thing. Otherwise, it'll probably be a thing because like damaging spells are still nice, and being able to turn them from just deal 3 damage to kill any unit is powerful. It's just an incredibly powerful effect to turn any single spell into an assassinate, right? Next up, we have Ras Frostwhisper, which is the spell damage synergy legendary for Shaman and Mage. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all enemies. It's improved by spell damage. So yeah, I think spell damage Mage is going to be good. So this is like, this might be archetype defining even. This is, high A tier, probably tied with Illucia. No, we'll give it lowest S tier. We'll give him that honor. All right. I just think that this is going to be really, really powerful. Rattlegore, the ultimate sticky minion, 9 mana 9/9. Death Rattle, resummon this minion with -1/-1. It is Gorehowl, but a minion, and I don't think that's very good, honestly. I think it's just too slow. 9 mana do nothing. Yeah, it's an intimidating body, but it still gets polymorphed like the rest of them, right? I mean, not that, polymorph and hex are super common, but they exist, and silence exists. And I just don't think 9 mana do nothing when they're hard pushing these really fast decks with really good board clears. Or separately, these really fast decks and really good board clears, right? I don't think 9 mana 9/9 is enough. I think it might even be worse than Liliana, just because it comes out so much later, right? Yeah, don't love that card. Maybe I'm underestimating the value of the resurrection, but any freeze effect, any transform effect, and Mage and Shaman both gained devolving missiles this time, right? So this goes down to an 8, maybe even a 7 drop, and it's still a do nothing immediately on the board card. So that's my take on that. Shando Wildclaw. This is absolutely archetype defining. 3 mana 3/3, choose one, give all beasts in your deck +1/+1, or transform into a beast. Yeah, that's incredibly powerful. We'll bump it down below. No, we'll keep it above Ras. So, because she herself is not a beast, you can run this with a big beast druid, for example, because you don't have to worry about drawing her with your guardian animals, for example. And while you don't run all too many beasts in that deck, what beasts you do run can benefit from that +1/+1, or if it's after your the Survival of the Fittest cast, then you can transform her into one of those super buffed up minions. Either way, the fact that she can go with either choose one fairly easily, depending on at what point in the game you are, indicates to me that she is very powerful in that archetype. Further, I think she fits everything about Hunters, everything Hunter's trying to do with Beast right now. So she isn't just defining one archetype, she's defining both. And I think that there could even be a third small beast druid, potentially. I think it won't be as good, but I think she fits in that perfectly as well. So you're going to see her wherever beasts are in either of these two classes. Therefore, S tier. Next, we have my favorite pun in the set? Maybe. That's a tough one. There are a lot of good ones here. But we have Soulciologist, so I forget her name. Malicia, I think. Yeah. 7 mana, 5/5. Battle Cry. For each soul fragment in your deck, summon a 3/3 with Rush. Yeah, that's pretty strong. I mean, So here's the thing about soul fragments is that you can draw them or you can break them. And the cards that generate soul fragments, the two neutral one, or not neutral, but the two dual class ones are pretty good. The class specific ones are less good. I think this would fit better in Demon Hunter in general, but overall, this probably ends up being like low A, high B. Let's make it high B. No, we'll do. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like the power level of like the other things in that tier, and it's definitely high B, right? So I'm actually gonna push you up. Yeah, that's probably about right. So yeah, she's good, but a little too reliant on other factors in the deck for my liking. Next, we have Speaker. That's right. It's Speaker something. Speaker Gidra, I think. This is just a strong card. Basically any shaman or druid that's running spells, which is like all of them, is going to want this. I feel like it fits shaman a little better, but if you play this with, I don't know, like a Bloodlust, for example, it just gets huge. Or, I'm sure there's something really obvious I'm missing. Like anything. If you play this with anything, it's huge. On curve, for example, like it has to pretty much be on curve though. So like if you play it on 7 with a 4-mana spell, golden, right? This probably fits pretty neatly in high B as well. All right, next we have Sphere of Sapience. Yeah. So there's the fact that it breaks Twig. That's always fun, but that's wild only, so we'll kind of ignore that. This is at the beginning of your turn, like right before your draw, you can look at what you're about to draw, and if it's not good, you can shuffle it on the bottom of your deck. That's fine. I don't know that you really super need that effect. I mean, it's nice to functionally have a bonus draw, right? If you're like, oh, that's a dead card, put it back. But I don't know. And it's only 1 mana, which is nice, and it will break after 4 of those draws is the other big thing, right? So this might be another high C, maybe low B. And I think that's a really controversial opinion, but I don't know. I just don't think it's amazing. I think people are overestimating how many dead draws you have in Hearthstone. Like, it would be cool to be able to prevent them, because like I feel like it's like a bias because it's such a negative impact when you do get a dead draw. You're like, oh, that was the one card in my deck I didn't need. But the problem is it was the one card in your deck you didn't need out of like 15, right? So are you going to spend 1 mana to spend 1 mana and waste a card slot? This has to replace something else in the deck, right? And no weapon class can run this, basically. So are you going to, except maybe Shaman, but probably not even because of the Rune Knife, right? Rune Dagger, whatever. Are you going to run this over something else? And are you going to then use it enough? Also, you need to draw it. And a lot of the time, this is designed to prevent dead draws. A lot of the time, this will be a dead draw. So I'm going to even put it below Alabaster. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, I don't... Maybe that's controversial. I know it's controversial. People love this thing, but I don't think it's that good. Alright, Star Student Stalina. 4 mana, 4/5. People were very divided on this one as well. It was a lot of like, oh, it's too bad. The Outcast is too bad. You can't play it functionally. And I kind of have fallen on that side. I was initially impressed by how powerful being able to shuffle one of your opponent's cards back in their deck is. But it clogs your hand. You do not want to play this without the Outcast. There are some Outcasts that you can, like the draw card. It's like, 2 mana, draw 1, whatever, I'll do it. This is a 4 mana 4/3. I would almost never commit to that because like at least the other thing is cycle, and the Outcast effect is really good disruption, especially against a combo deck, for example, right? So I mean, she's probably like, just for the sake of disruption, I guess maybe low B, but we'll put her at highest C, I think. Turalyon. Ooh, another stinker of a legendary for Paladin. Yeah, I think it's good. It's good that it has removal. I don't think Control Paladin is going to be a thing. So 8 mana 3/12 rush. Whenever this attacks a minion, set it to 3/3. So it instantly kills whatever it attacks, and it has rush. So it's basically guaranteed 8 mana removal. Sometimes it procs twice. So it has that immediate board impact that Rattlegore doesn't have, which I think puts it at, we'll put Stalina here and Turalyon at top of C. There we go. That's how I feel. That's probably the most accurate representation of how I feel about this. Turalyon is good in Control Paladin. Control Paladin isn't good. That's the consensus here, right? So, yeah, he's just not good. I'm sorry. Vectus, very strong, I think. This is a 5 mana 4/4 summon 2 Battlecry, summon 2 whelps that are 2 1/1 whelps that have the death rattles of things that died this game. So you get 2 of your death rattles back on a 4/4 body. So on a Millhouse Mana Storm, you cast Twilight's Call. This is really good. This is going in any sort of death rattle deck, probably low A, just edging out Krastinov, I would say. Yeah, I think this any sort of death rattle deck wants this, and maybe that won't be a thing, but maybe a death rattle deck explicitly won't be a thing, but you do often see death rattles, especially to draw cards, like Loot Hoarder, or back when it was the thing, Dead Ringer, the thing that drew your death rattle cards. So maybe this will see play in Wild. I think it has a lot of potential with future expansions, though, as Death Rattle comes back as the identity of Rogue and Hunter, and potentially Priest as well. So I know I said I was rating them on meta impact. Maybe I'm going a bit against what I said before with this, talking about its potential as well. But I could be overrating this one. I think mostly, if anything, I was underrating cards. I think I could be overrating this one. And I could have, I'll say also, I could have been overrating Shando and Ras as well. So that is the complete tier list. You can see a link to this in the description as well as in the comments below. If you want to make your own tier list, you can go ahead and do that. I actually had someone, when I did the last one, they took my tier list and made their own video about it. That was awesome. That felt great. It felt like I was part of the community. It was fantastic. So if you want to see more stuff like this, I think I'm going to pump out a few more tier lists. Maybe they'll be shorter, right? This is almost half an hour now. I was thinking about doing the studies. That would be fairly quick. That would be like 5 to 10 minutes easy. So expect more of this style of content until the actual release, because I found out that you can't purchase packs in the Fireside. You have to buy the pre-purchase and unpack them from there, and I don't have $60 to drop on a game like this. So if I win a giveaway, we'll see some more pre-release actual gameplay, but until then you'll just have to wait like everyone else until August 6th for the expansion to drop. So if you don't want to miss anything, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. I'm going live right after this video uploads. You can catch me on here as well, frequently, at least daily, except for like weekends sometimes. I don't know. I've been consistent. Sometimes I take the weekends off, sometimes I don't. But yeah, you can subscribe here, follow me on those, and of course, make sure you have a good day.